Welcome, everybody. Here we are for another amazing event on our Holland Alumni Network, Netherlands. I know that some of you are signing up via different locations. You're not only based in the Netherlands. My name is Maria. I'm not in the Netherlands right now. Look at this. This is Bogota, Colombia. I study in Tilburg University, and I'm the community lead about entrepreneurship, for entrepreneurship. So, well, I will tell you more about entrepreneurship later, but today we're going to focus on Dutch culture and language, especially for a professional use. We know if we went to the Netherlands, if we study in the Netherlands as we did, how it is, how it is to be out there without speaking the language, listening to a lot of people saying, it sounds really funny for us. Of course, when looking like for your next career steps and checking what you're going to do, Dutch is fundamental, even if you're looking for a job, even if you're looking for friends, or like me, creating your own business. So I want to welcome everybody, invite you, because this is a live event on purpose, invite you to join the conversation by sharing your questions via comments, exactly like that. So via comments, I'm going to be gathering all your questions about today's topic, and of course, everything that you have to ask to our speakers, special speakers today. And for all of you who don't know anything about what is the Holland Alumni Network, well, we are a community of everybody, all internationals who attended to any Dutch university, Dutch institution. So if we study in the Netherlands, if you're international and you study in the Netherlands, this is our community. However, of course, we're open for everybody to join from all over the world. So feel welcome, feel that this is the place to be and to ask anything important. There's no stupid question. There's no stupid comment. Just grab your coffee and join me. So today I'm going to introduce you to Nick Walker. He's our speaker. I'm going to let you know who he is and what we're going to do today. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for having me on the show. Great to be
Yes.
here.
Amazing.
I'm phoning in from Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So we're making this connection here, talking about the Dutch culture and about the language. And of course, if you're interested in setting up a business in the Netherlands, then the big question is, do I need to learn Dutch? Well, yes, of course you do.
I mean, even if most people are looking for a job or whatever, for whatever professional use, if you are in the Netherlands or you want to do business with Dutch people, yes, you need to learn Dutch. And Nick is not only a big ambassador of Dutch language and culture, but he's a teacher, So tell us a little bit about what you do, Nick.
Well, I've been teaching Dutch to professionals, to internationals now for about 25 years. And I meet a lot of people through the work that I do. So that's teaching Dutch from basic level right up to business Dutch, for instance. I also do the integration program. It's called the Inburgering cursus. So if you want to take your Dutch culture and citizenship a step further and become a Dutch citizen, then many of us need to do this particular program. So I teach that as well, so that you can get your diploma and then get your Dutch passport.
We will talk about these requirements by the IND, especially for non-EU citizens like me. I'm from Colombia. So for me, it's not an option unless I want to remain Colombian and that's it, which is also really nice. But in the end, it's all about integration, finding your way through. And before I was just sharing with everybody how it feels when you come to the Netherlands and you just listen to, because it sounds really like that.
The Dutch throat disease, yeah.
And then you're like, okay, what's wrong with their throat? And you don't understand it, In the end, after some years, you start picking up things and you're like, echt? And you can say these type of things that people repeat really like frequently asked, frequently used words or expressions. And I think that it's good to first start. I will just ask, something about what's the story behind Dutch. I want to know how the language became like echt. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the story about the Dutch. Dutch as a language and Dutch as what it is right now. And Dutch also is a place where many other languages are playing around, especially English. So if you can tell us a little bit about the story of Dutch.
Well, Dutch is 1,000 years old.
Wow.
And it started way back as basically a dialect of German. And it evolved over the years and became a language of its own. Of course, it's still very closely related to German, but there are a lot of English influences, and there's a lot of French influences. And then, over the course of history, of course, we had Napoleon was a big influence in the Netherlands. So, in fact, 150 years ago, French was the second language in the Netherlands. Now, of course, it's English. And then we had colonies. So we had some influence coming from Bahasa, so the language spoken in the part of the world now called Indonesia.
I didn't know this language. Bahasa?
Bahasa, yeah.
Okay.
So an example of a Bahasa word is toko, and toko is shop.
Wow.
To this day, if you want to go for some Indonesian takeaway, we say, I'm going to the toko. Ik ga naar de toko. So toko is an example of a Bahasa word, but we also have a lot of Yiddish words, like muzzle, which is from mazel tov. And we had a lot of Jews coming from Spain in the time of the Spanish Inquisition, and the Catholics and the Protestants and the Jews.
We know what happened, yeah. Yeah.
So they moved and they came to Amsterdam because Amsterdam was a very liberal city, and we accepted and embraced Jewish culture, and you were allowed to build a synagogue in Amsterdam. So there's a huge tradition in the Netherlands. The language goes back 1,000 years, and the culture, of course, over the centuries has also evolved to what it is today. And what it is today is rooted in the tradition. But it's also cutting edge. So there's a lot of innovation going on in the Netherlands. So take a company as ASML, for instance. They make machines that make chips that are in our computers and our phones every day. And that's a very important Dutch company. Of course, the big brands we all know, Heineken, and
Philips.
The list is long, Philips as well. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're interested in the Dutch culture and the Dutch language, but also in the Dutch business climate, then there's a wonderful mix here.
Yeah. Well, today our attendees are mostly looking for a job or looking for what is their next step. I would like to know how many people are joining who are students right now, maybe, graduating or in the process of writing their thesis in summer. I also wrote my thesis in summer, by the way, at Tilburg University. Really painful, but nice. So, like when you're thinking about your next career steps, and most people will go to how to find a job in the Netherlands. We already talked about how important it is to speak Dutch for any purpose, especially when finding a job, when looking for a job. So in this sense, what are the cultural aspects that are relevant when searching a job in the Netherlands from the perspective of how the culture works, Because you already said everything about the background of Dutch as a language and how mixed it is. I can tell you an example, like the word gratis in Spanish. And you see gratis everywhere. Yeah, gratis.
Yeah. We like that word, yeah.
You love korting and gratis.
Oh.
Yeah, those are the two things I know. Met korting, zonder korting. Yeah. Normally it's met korting and gratis.
Yeah.
So if we talk about the cultural aspects that are, that just to give some context about those key aspects when looking for a job in the Netherlands or being in the setup of an interview or sending applications around LinkedIn or whatever. What do you think about those?
Well, I would say finding a job is probably pretty easy without knowing any Dutch, if it's just English. But it's holding the job that really becomes difficult. So just an example, Anne Goldstein. She's very big in the museum, let's say, world. That she was the director of the Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam. She had a period of 3 years that she was the director. It's a very prestigious museum. It's the Amsterdam Museum of Modern Art, and she did not learn the language. And there was a lot of criticism in the press about the fact that she was the director of a museum in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, and that she didn't speak the language. Unfortunately, the position was unattainable, and she had to leave. And then the next person who was taken on as the director of the Stedelijk Museum was given a massive budget to go and train and learn the Dutch language to be able to integrate and not just get the job, but keep the job as well. So that's an example, and I think it's one of many examples where, yes, you can get in very easily. There is a door open with the English, but to stay, to keep the job, to hold, to have the edge. Let's say if you're an entrepreneur, you're setting up a business, you need to know the language. You need to know what those blue envelopes that come through your letterbox, what they say. You need to have
especially those blue envelopes, huh?
Yeah. Just for those of you who don't know what that means, it's the tax man. Those blue envelopes.
Open those envelopes, yeah. Okay, so for people who are looking for a job, which is basically what we're going to focus now, because of course most people are thinking about going for a job. We have a nice question here from Kedma. Kedma, I hope that I pronounce it well. Kedma Hammelberg, yeah. So she says, hi everybody, thanks for this great webinar. Which language level a person must reach to get a job? You know, WO level in a Dutch company.
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, Kedma. It does depend, of course, on the job. So, for instance, if you have a job in, let's say, as a doctor in a hospital, then you need the highest possible level that you can get of Dutch. We call it the NT2 exam. It's a proficiency exam. It's at B1 level. It's a very academic level of Dutch. And that's the program to go for if you're in, let's say, if you work in medicine in any shape or form, or even as a nurse. If you're a medical advisor, you need that. Let's say, if you worked in maybe in advertising or as a graphic designer, obviously it's much less important. But I think at any level, whatever the job is, you will always have the upper hand over your competitors, let's say your colleagues and your friends who are also internationals living in the Netherlands. If you have a good level of Dutch, then you have a competitive edge over them. If you're coming in with Spanish and English and German under your belt, and then Dutch is maybe the fourth language that you speak, then you have the edge over everyone, including the Dutch. Yeah. So I think I don't think you can know enough Dutch really to make a success of yourself in the Netherlands, and that goes generally for any kind of job, particularly for those in let's say in healthcare. But also for those in media, and if you're a lawyer, then of course then you need also a very, very high level of Dutch. Yeah.
Okay, clear. So going Dutch. Really important to transition from the idea of nice to have to must have, right? Because sometimes we're really spoiled as internationals. I speak Spanish and English, so I say, well, I can talk to everybody, of course. But then when you are there for a long time, you realize what is the relevance of doing that, you know, in your day-to-day life, but especially when you are developing everything as professional, you know, so your career, even if it's your entrepreneur or you are looking for a job, or you already have those Dutch colleagues that go next to the coffee machine and start like, echt. Exactly. So I think that it's really important that you're pointing out the importance of how it's, you know, really key to learn Dutch for a personal level and career level, and how that is something that you need to take into account since the beginning, and you know that there's nothing like you're already good to go, you're at B1, check.
There was a time, Maria, when that was okay. So let's say in the 90s, for instance, it was okay. You could just anything go. You speak English, that's fine. It's enough. But then in the last 20 years, that's changed a lot. And then I think in the next 5 years, it's also going to change, because the way the corona crisis has given globalization a different spin, where we're actually forced to do business much more at a local level. I think the requirement for having a good level of Dutch, maybe not for the written part, but certainly for the spoken part, and just understanding the culture and what's going on around you, I think going forward is going to be even more important than it is already.
We already have a good case, a good example about what to do. Maxima, Argentinian, what did you do in comparison to this lady at the Stedelijk Museum?
She's an example of how to do it.
Yeah.
And Maxima is the opposite of Anne Goldstein at the Stedelijk.
Yeah.
She embraced it. She learned the language. She went on TV and did interviews, even though her Dutch wasn't perfect at the time. But the little mistakes that she made, we thought they were really cute. It was wonderful to hear how she was learning the language, and, with Willem-Alexander. So yeah, we love her. I think she's possibly even more popular than Willem-Alexander.
Exactly. So if you want Dutch sympathy, also is really good, because people see that you're doing that effort, that you're saying something, you're trying, even if it's rusty, even if you're not there yet, just going for Dutch is a good thing to do. Another question from Vesam. Just curious, are there any public sector companies that use English as a working language instead of Dutch?
Public sector, it's mainly Dutch. If you work in the public sector in the Netherlands and you don't speak any Dutch, you haven't got a hope.
Finito la música.
You really need to know Dutch in the public sector. Obviously, English is the second language, and it's also a commercial language. So a lot of marketing is done in English. And of course, tech is English. The online community is English. But as soon as you sit down for a meeting with your colleagues and it's werkoverleg en we hebben vandaag vergadering and you need to be able to keep up. And there's only so many meetings that you can have that everybody in the room who speaks Dutch switches to English on your behalf.
Yeah, that's always, for me, it's really shocking. It's really like, whoa, all these people are suddenly like boom, boom. And it's automated process, right? I don't think that Dutch people are thinking, now we're going to talk in English. No, you just enter the room as the only international and people just out of respect switch to English for you. And that's like, whoa, I'm almost 10 years in the Netherlands and it always happens. Even if I try to speak Dutch, they would switch to English to help me out because, of course, Dutch culture is all about efficiency. And they don't want to waste their time thinking like Maria is really struggling to say, hello, can you grab me this beer or whatever. So I really admire the Dutch for that, but also it makes it difficult for us to learn because then I need to ask my friends. I know that is for you is a lot of, it's out of your own patience, to help me out with this. But I need to learn Dutch. So please only talk to me in Dutch. You need to ask these type of things to your Dutch friends because normally they will switch to English.
Yeah. All you need to do is turn it around. If you're from Italy and you want a job in the public sector in Italy, you're not going to get by with no Italian.
Exactly. I think also, things for example, in the context of business, when you're going to create a company or whatever, there's a lot of forms, a lot of information that is available in English, but tax office, no way, Jose. You have some sectors that are more strict about we provide Dutch service in Dutch and English as a service. They even say that to you, it's a luxury that we can talk to you. Or when you say, hey, do you have service in English? They will immediately reply, well, I can try. And then their English is perfect. I can try, yes. It's so humble. I love how humble Dutch people are. But let's talk a little bit about Duolingo situation. Yeah, so a lot of people say, I'm going to learn Dutch on Duolingo or any app. Why or when to talk to Nick, basically? What is the relevance of doing this process with an actual teacher and a group rather than you going in your mobile and, doing everything try and error? What is the difference in the learning curve and your process of learning Dutch like that?
Because you need the ear of a native speaker to hear if how you're using the language is the way we use the language. And as yet, there's no AI that can give you that immediate feedback.
Yeah.
I can listen to, as an experienced teacher, I can listen to someone's Dutch and I can hear within a minute or so, I can hear what little language structures we need to work on and which language structures are fine. And we'll just leave that. An AI can't do that yet. An AI can do lots of things, but not that. It can't be a native speaker with an ear and then give immediate feedback. That's what I do as a teacher. So I'll get you to speak the language and to interact with me or with the class. And in the process of speaking and working through a particular topic, I give feedback and explain where you need to know and to learn, and leave to one side the areas that you already know. And Duolingo is a great app. It's particularly when you're just starting Dutch or any language. Duolingo is fantastic.
Yeah.
We use a lot of Quizlet. Quizlet is a fantastic app to learn vocabulary. I use Google Classroom in my classes, which is a wonderful platform where you can share videos, you can share PDFs, you can share links. I mean, it's a great platform. Also submit work, so I can get you to write, I don't know, 200 words, and then you can submit it, and then I can give feedback to it. We use WhatsApp. We use our phones for the classes. So all the online tools that we have, I use as many as we can, but nothing can replace the ear of a native speaker, the way the language is processed in the brain, and then giving feedback and help how to pronounce that sound or the sound or any of those.
All of those. So if I tell you just one sentence, you can tell me, Maria, you really need to work on this, right? 1 minute. You know what? Yeah. The first sentence, the first Dutch sentence that I ever learned, as soon as I arrived in the Netherlands, I was like, I'm freaking cold, like I'm really cold, because I arrived on the 15th of January in 2011, you know? So on 2012, sorry. So I learned how to say, ik heb het koud. And that's the only thing I was saying. Ik heb het koud on there.
Yeah. Well, that you've nailed that one, Maria, because a lot of people will think, "Oh, I am cold," and then say "Ik ben koud," but that's not correct. Ik heb het koud, so that's bravo. That's the way to say it.
I did one good thing. Yeah, that's good. Well, another question here from Irma. So she says, like, I'm Indonesian and I'm currently looking for opportunities in the Netherlands. Can you give us recommendations on job websites which are in English? Thank you. Well, this is not an event for looking for a job. However, we're going to host an event about how to find a job using LinkedIn, on the 14th, and we're posting it right now. But today we're really focusing on more like the side of the culture, how it works, how learning Dutch will actually help. And I get it. I get you, Irma. Right now you learn English, and this is what you have. You speak English. So there's a lot of job sites that I can send you, but we can also maybe rephrase some ideas, some tips. However, like Nick said, we encourage you to learn Dutch. And that's also for me, because I haven't done my homework yet. And that's why we decided to open a group course with Nick in September. So we're going to also share the details of a form where you can let us know what is your level, and we can organize something from September. Guys, girls, everybody. So Nick, some job websites which are in English?
Well, Monster Board. So Monster, obviously, they're an American company. They set up shop in the Netherlands. The URL monster.nl was already taken, so they had to change the name, and they changed it to monsterboard.nl.
I'm sharing it there in the chat as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it. That's very much focused on the Dutch job market. I'm not sure what industry you're in, but in any case, that's a good start. Maybe in kind of like more high-end jobs, maybe in marketing, IT, financial, you could go to Michael Page. Michael Page is an international recruitment agency.
How do you spell that one?
Michael, as in Michael Jordan, Michael. And page, as in one page, page one, page two, PHE.
PHE.
There are spellings of page. Mm-hmm.
.nl? I
Yeah,
think I did it wrong. Yes?
yeah,
Wrong.
yeah,
Okay, these are some websites that you can check. There's also there's a lot of job posting in Expatica. If you go to I am Amsterdam, there's also some job posting there.
yeah.
Also, I know that Brainport, if you're in the south, also has a really amazing like job board.
Yeah.
What else? Like we're the wrong people because I'm a full-time entrepreneur. So me looking for a job and not never did it in my life. But we are going to also add some new URLs there. If anybody else knows, please, sharing is caring. We're a community. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So let's continue talking a little bit about. Let's go back to the part of can I get a job just speaking English? We already say, well, you can, as Irma is going to try. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, Dutch is a super plus, especially because when you're not from the Netherlands, you already speak another language. So you speak, in my case, Spanish, English, Dutch. You already you're multilingual, and
Mm-hmm.
that gives you a lot of advantage as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The more the better.
There's one about multilingual. If you want to offer your language as the word, like for example, you want to work in a call center, translations, all of this, there's also a really nice URL that I can send you afterwards for language related jobs, like these service jobs and
Yeah.
everything. And of course, we have a lot of job agencies in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Well, Randstad is the biggest one.
Randstad is the biggest one.
They're actually international. They have, I think, they have offices everywhere. Well, certainly in Europe and in the States. I don't know about Asia or South America, but Randstad is a very big job agency. They're a very big player.
Yeah, I will put it there, and you just filter by the Netherlands. So actually, we made this as interactive as possible because we know that the questions will come from you guys, girls, everybody. So make sure that you share everything and that you also specify where are you based. You know, like it's different if you're in the south of the Netherlands or the north. You know, what is your background? Where are you from? And where are you based? And also, what is your industry? Because then we know, like, if you're like in tech, where to send you. The Netherlands is great at this, by the way. Everything is like hubs for everything. Rotterdam. Let's talk a little bit about the cities and how they are planned out. Like for legal, if you're in legal, go to Den Haag and you're like this. Let's give some insights about how the
Yeah.
Netherlands is planned out in that way. Let's say provinces.
So I think if you're in the creative industry, Amsterdam is a real hotspot. So if you're in advertising, you're a graphic designer, you're in marketing, you're working on big brands, you've got to be in Amsterdam. So you made the right choice there, Maria.
Yes, and then I met you in Amsterdam, actually, grabbing coffee at WeWork.
Yes.
So it is a place to be for creatives, marketing, commercial. Yeah. Let's go now to Rotterdam. What is Rotterdam about?
So Rotterdam is the largest harbor in Europe. Yeah. So it's about trade. There's, so you have the Rhine that connects the North Sea to the Ruhr area in Germany. So all the German products that need to be shipped to China, they go along the Rhine. They go out past Rotterdam, the Europort, and then they go off to the wide world. So there's so actually Rotterdam is a real work hub. There. And in many ways, I mean, Rotterdam people joke about the Amsterdammers because the Amsterdammers they're in cafes or in coffee shops. They don't work hard, but the Rotterdammers, they really have a work ethic,
and they are proud of this, right? They're like, look at me.
Absolutely. Of course, Rotterdam was bombed in the Second World War. It was completely flattened by the Nazis, and then they built it up. So now you have a lot of modern architecture. It's a very, I mean, it's a bit like a miniature Manhattan, I guess. There's skyscrapers and cutting edge architecture, but there's a lot of work there, and a lot of it is in trade. It's in the harbor. A lot of it is in also in oil and gas. So Vopak, for instance, is a big Dutch company. They do a lot of gas and oil transport and storage. That's a big industry in itself.
Mhm.
And logistics, of course, and all the ships, the cargo. So it's a big, so it's big on cargo as well.
Yeah.
If
So that's good if you're in what type of industries. Let's give some examples of when should I think about moving to Rotterdam? Not me in general. I'm not
um,
going to.
I guess I mean Unilever is based in Rotterdam. That's although I have to say they're moving now. So Unilever is a Dutch English company, and I'm a little bit sad about this because I'm half British and half Dutch. My father is British and my mother is Dutch, and I always grew up with oh yeah, Unilever. It's a marriage of British and Dutch.
Your
And now,
family, your parents represented
yeah,
in one brand.
yeah. But now Unilever is going to become a British company, and they're moving their office from Rotterdam to the UK.
Wow.
But so up until now, like Unilever has a strong presence. The Dutch part of Unilever has a very strong presence in Rotterdam. So if you want to work in that industry, so it's any kind of food products, you name it. I mean, you just have to open your fridge. At least if you're in the Netherlands, and probably most of it is made by
Also,
Unilever.
yes.
Same in Colombia.
Here in Colombia, we'll do exactly the same.
Yeah. So
True.
yeah, that's a really good industry in itself. Of course, yeah, logistics, supply chain, and all the shipping that they do in Europort, oil and gas. That's also really important. But I think if you're in diplomacy or if you're in a legal profession, then of course The Hague is the place to be.
Place to be, yes.
Yeah.
What about the south? Because we don't want to only stay up north and then the people from the south is like, you never talk about us. Let's talk
I'm
about
really glad.
Eindhoven. I know
Oh,
you're.
I'm very glad you mentioned that, Maria, because Eindhoven, everybody knows the name Philips. So, of course, Philips set up in Eindhoven, and they attracted a lot of scientists to work on new inventions. And this is a tradition that goes back, 100 years. But as a spin-off from Eindhoven, because Philips has evolved and they do mainly medical equipment now. And back in the day, our CD player was Philips, our TV was Philips, our hair dryer was Philips, everything was Philips. But they've gotten rid of a lot of the consumer goods, and now they are focused mainly on hospital equipment. So that's a growing industry, of course, with the corona. But as a spin-off in Eindhoven, there's a town called Veldhoven, and that is now known as the Netherlands Silicon Valley. So if you are at the cutting edge of, let's say, the chip industry, making chips for Intel or for some of the big tech companies, then you're probably looking for a job at ASML in Veldhoven. That is a very interesting company to work for. If you can, or in one of the many spin-offs that work, that have set up shop in Veldhoven and that general area. So definitely the South is rocking as well in the Netherlands.
Yes, it's so important to always. And
Yeah.
the Netherlands is such a small country, from Colombian perspective, that it's so easy for you to go around. By the way, everybody carrying dark and, I don't know, KSNVA. Can spell? I hope so. I say. Well, you have many questions, so it's really good because that's what we want, interaction. By the way, this little tour that we're giving you with Nick throughout the different cities is also for those who are never heard about all these cities before. Because, when I first came to the Netherlands, I knew, of course, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague. That's the Netherlands for me. And I came to study in Tilburg, in the south. I had no clue about what was the city about, how big it was, what it was, that it was so close to Belgium. I didn't understood what it was about until I was actually there. And then I could see the difference in the culture, between the Brabant, that province, and what happens up north. Also, even in the way that people speak Dutch. So it's really good for people who are never came to the Netherlands, or you're looking on how to enter the Netherlands by getting a job or working from there. Like you learn also about the diversity, and the different opportunities that you have, not only associated to companies, like Nick said, but also about the differences in the Netherlands and the different, like everything that is happening in such a small country. Because you can go, you can take a train from Groningen to Maastricht and like for 3 hours, let's say, more or less.
Yeah.
This is it.
Or, maybe a bit longer, 4, but
Let's say 4, okay.
But you're through the country very quickly.
Yes.
Some some states in the United States. You could fit the Netherlands in there about 6 times. It's tiny.
Exactly.
But it's there's a
I
lot
see it as you said when Maximum was talking. I see it cute. I see the Netherlands really cute, like a cute country, and it's so cozy and so easy and so well connected to everything else. Also, like flying around the Netherlands, taking a train from the Netherlands to Paris or whatever, super easy. The infrastructure, amazing. Not to even start talking about biking around the Netherlands, amazing. So it's good that you know what this little tiny place can offer and how this can be an advantage, because then you're really well connected. Then you don't need to live in the city to work in another city, because the commute is nothing. Like for us as Colombians, I just have a traffic jam to go to the city center of like 45 minutes, 1 hour. In that time, I can be in Rotterdam, I can be in Den Haag from Amsterdam. No problem. Yeah? So for everybody, let's reply to some questions now. So Karen, I assume that it's easy to get a job when you already live in the Netherlands. If that's not possible, what can you recommend? So, of course, if you live in the Netherlands, it's a better situation. I think that Nick is frozen or he's really still. But if you are not in the Netherlands, of course, that's easier. But if you're not in the Netherlands, I have to say something. Dutch people are super, super, super accessible. Dutch people are easy to talk to. You can see here, Nick. Dutch people are really international, so they're used to talk to people from everywhere else. And something really important, there's not a lot of hierarchy. So you can easily access people through LinkedIn or start looking for a job online, and people will be willing to help you out. Right, Nick?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that point, Maria, about the hierarchy, because it's a very flat
country.
Very flat. It's the lowlands, the flatlands, but also we're team players, and we don't work on a basis that you have one director telling the whole team what to do. The whole team comes up with solutions together, and that's expected of you. It goes back to the fact that we reclaimed the land from the sea. It's called boulder, and to create a boulder, reclaimed land, you need to build a dike. And to build a dike, you have to have the butcher, the priest, the lawyer, the doctor. Everyone is involved and clubs together to build this dike. And that is kind of a grassroots democracy. So there's a spirit of team playing. And what's really important, and also in Dutch politics at the highest level, is that there is enough consensus within the population for a certain idea. And it's the same within companies. There has to be consensus about the direction of the company. And it's not that, let's say, one inspired entrepreneur will lead the way and everybody will follow in his or her wake. It's very much a group effort. So the traditional thing, if you're in a meeting in the Netherlands, is that everyone gets their say. So if you have everyone together, maybe there's 12, 15 people around the table, then you have the chance, even if you're maybe a temporary hire from coming in from Randstad or Michael Page, you're only there for 6 months, you'll still be asked to contribute your ideas to the plan or program or budget or whatever it is being discussed. So it's
super important.
Interestingly flat society.
Guys, I can tell you this. It's not that Nick is making a nice advertisement to say how amazing Dutch people are. It's true. I'm almost a decade in the Netherlands, and I'm always impressed how the intern, the boss, you don't know even who's the boss sometimes. If you look at somebody in a meeting or whatever, you see that everybody talks to everybody in a really horizontal way. So it's really important, about the atmosphere, the business and professional atmosphere that you will find in the Netherlands. I also see some other questions here. Is there any opportunity to work remotely in the Netherlands, to find remote works?
That's a good question. Our IT infrastructure is incredibly sophisticated and fast. It's a real hub of the internet, and the big tech companies like Google and Microsoft, they're all finding the Netherlands as a really good place to set up. Mm-hmm. Part of it has to do with the cables that come in from over the Atlantic Ocean. The internet is still reliant on cables that go undersea. They come up in this part of Europe. So Amsterdam is a real hub, but also what we have here is a lot of wind, and wind turbines. Wind turbines give a lot of green energy, and companies like Google and Microsoft want their data centers to be here in the polder, because renewable energy sources are abundant. Yeah, there's all that wind. So yeah, there's a lot of tech companies coming to the Netherlands. So working remotely, we have very fast internet, and
and also in times of corona crisis, let's talk about this. A lot of jobs worldwide are going to switch to remote. Even people in the Netherlands are going to work from home or find ways that they can do part-time, working from home. It's actually already happening that a lot of people say these days I work from home and these days I go to the office, right?
Absolutely. And what's fascinating in this time of corona is there's no traffic jams.
Anywhere. Not even here in Colombia. There's nobody else.
This was always like, okay, the Netherlands is a really nice place to live, and okay, you can travel easily, but oh my God, the traffic, it's terrible. And that's changed.
My God, one day I will invite you to Colombia so you see what is a traffic jam. Oh my God, in the Netherlands, people are like, oh, this is too late. And it's like 5 minutes late. Mm-hmm. People are not used to wait. Everything goes according to the clock. Everything works, basically, especially in infrastructure and all these things there. We have somebody, that's so nice. We have somebody asking about, what about Groningen? Yeah, let's talk about Groningen. What can you find there? Groningen is here up the top. Let's give a little.
It's right at the top. It's the most, well, not the most northerly city, but it's the biggest city up north. It's a student city, so you have a very good university there. So if you're looking for a university degree, or maybe to do a PhD or a master's study,
or to work at the university, because you can also be an academic
as well.
It's super windy. I got my hair in Groningen. No, I didn't get my hair in Groningen, but it's super windy there because it's up north, right?
Yeah. And what the Netherlands does really well is decentralization. So in France, like all the roads, they lead to Paris. But in the Netherlands, the capital city is Amsterdam. The government is in The Hague. And then we will also move a large part of our infrastructure for the government up to Groningen. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot.
Groningen.
Groningen.
Okay, that's practice. Everybody, send me an audio. I challenge everybody to send me a voice message with that. Groningen.
But if you're from Israel and you speak Hebrew, then not a problem.
No problem, yes.
For Arabic speakers, it's not a problem.
No problem. It's good. It's good that we mentioned Groningen. I really like it. And it's good that if you live in the Netherlands, take that train, take that nice discount that the NS, the train company, is giving you to go all over, like these 10 tickets. Like, remember, there's like these tickets that you can get together. And then that's how I went everywhere, because I didn't want it to just be in the big cities. I wanted to go to the little towns everywhere. So I went from Groningen one day to Maastricht, hop on, hop off. It was super fun. So I invite everybody to explore the Netherlands. And I agree with you, Karen, that that's the reason why you would like to work in the Netherlands, or you want to find a job. It's a really good place to work, which is also leading me to the next question about Ketma. Hey, I like that you're doing your second courses. So thanks a lot for the insights. Could you please share with us the key differences between working in a Dutch company and an international company in terms of, for example, workload, communication perspective? We talk a little bit about it, but let's focus on work-life balance, for example.
Well, that's one of the big pluses about working in the Netherlands is the work-life balance is wonderful. I mean, I've spoken to people from all over the planet, from the States, from the UK, from, well, pretty much everywhere. And the work-life balance in the Netherlands is one of the best selling points. If you have a family, if you have kids that you want to raise, then the Netherlands is a great place to raise kids. So you have, you have more holidays on average than let's say the average American citizen. You have a lot of benefits. You're able to just balance your life out a bit, so you can spend a bit more time with your friends or with your family, and it's not all about
work.
and 80-hour weeks. It's also about actually one of it's not even about the holidays, but it's also a very important philosophy in the Netherlands is that you enjoy your work.
Yeah.
The word that we use for it is leuk. Ik vind mijn werk leuk, and leuk is fun, interesting, entertaining, just something you want to do every day. You wake up in the morning and you want to do your job. And that is, even when you do the inburgering exam, there's a chapter in the book on work, werken in Nederland. There's a paragraph there that says, ik vind mijn werk leuk. I like my job.
I'm laughing because for so many countries in the world, work is like I have to pay my bills, help me God type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Don't give me look. I just want to pay.
Look, please get me out of here so I can go and have beer with my friends and pay my bills, and that's it. Yeah, actually, and the time, like the working hours are from 9 to 5. That's it. And people even look at you like, hey, why are you doing at the office? Like 4:50, everybody's like, let's wrap it up for today. Everything can be, like we will do it tomorrow. And you will see people telling you, I'm so busy, and they're not busy, but they always tell you, I'm busy, with the work, and everything is rescheduled for the next month, And here, for example, in Colombia, the culture is you work and you stay until you end it, and also, especially in the startup scene or whatever, it's like this pride on, I didn't sleep last night because I'm working so hard. In the Netherlands, you don't have that, guys, so forget about it. You're just happy. You have a look, you have your work and feel really happy about it. And then, you close your laptop and go to a beer cafe and enjoy everything with your friends. Borrel. Let's talk about the borrel. Let's talk about the fact that people meet after work.
6 o'clock.
Yes.
So the borrel is at 6 o'clock.
What is a borrel? Let's explain what is a borrel.
First of all, a borrel is a drink. It's an alcoholic drink. Yeah. Yes. So basically, the word borrel can be a shot of tequila. It could be a beer. It could be a glass of wine. Anything like that.
Uh-huh.
But, the origin of the word borrel is actually for a glass of gin or jenever, as we call it. So traditionally a very small glass, and of course gin is very strong, so you don't have it in a big cup. It'll kill you. So that's a borrel. But now the word borrel has a much wider meaning. It's actually, it means a drinks party. So you'd say, ik ga naar een borrel, meaning you're going to a drinks party. It's not about the food. There will be some snacks there, some borrelhapjes.
Yes, snacks.
Bitterbal.
Especially looking like a ball called bitterbal.
Yeah.
And Dutch cheese, of course, with mustard.
Oude kaas met mosterd, hapjes worst. I mean, the pinda's. There's all sorts of borrelhapjes that you can have.
Snacks, yes.
just the snacks that you have, and you have that with your colleagues. So it could be work related, this borrel. It could be related to maybe school. Your kids go to school, and then the other parents, they have a borrel. It could be related to I don't know, your sports club, that you go to a borrel there. It's the drinks that you have after work and before dinner.
Important, and that's also something that you do with your colleagues. I was also mentioning because of this. People meet after work with their colleagues, and like to have this type of connection, like connection beyond the job, or who you are, what department. And people really gather in the Netherlands around drinking. Important. Important. Well, everywhere, but in the Netherlands they do it with this specific setting that is different than in Colombia, for example. So that gives you some ideas, of course, about the differences between working in the Netherlands versus somewhere else. Of course, it depends on what is somewhere else for you. But if you look at different countries, of course, every country has its own culture and business environment, professional environment. But you can see that in the Netherlands, things are easy peasy, in the sense that once you're in to your job, you will have all these benefits and access to this type of environments. And I also wanted to talk, before we go back to, we go to the next question. Kedma, you're really good. I really like you. We have 10 minutes left, guys, so please make sure that I can read all of your questions and we can talk about it with Nick. But I had a question. I had something pending with you to talk about. Yes, let's talk about the legal requirements. Let's talk about the immigration. What is the normal process? What are the tests that you have to pass, and how is that connected to Dutch language, of course? So everybody can know.
Okay, so we have, there's two exams. They're both called inburgering, and inburgering means civic integration. So let's say if you're living in Colombia and you want to move to the Netherlands, and you have a boyfriend in the Netherlands, or your husband lives there, and you want to move, but you haven't lived in the Netherlands before, then you have to do a civic integration program, learning just the very basics of Dutch and of Dutch culture. That's an exam that you take outside of the EU.
Okay. So it's for non-EU citizens.
It's for non-EU citizens from wherever you are on the planet. You do that very first, but it's an A1 level. It's a very simple level of Dutch, but that's a requirement. Yeah, in some cases. Then once you've arrived in the Netherlands and you've lived there for 5 years, then you do this, let's say, the second version of the inburgering exam, and that's at a higher level. It's A2 level now, and you learn about Dutch culture. You need to do a speaking exam, a written exam, a listening exam, a reading exam, and finally the knowledge of Dutch society. So
wow, it sounds big. What is knowing Dutch society in an exam? How is it? What type of things?
For instance, you get questions about education, about the history of the Netherlands, about Dutch politics, about the constitution. So for instance, Article 1 of the Dutch constitution is that all forms of discrimination are forbidden, based on gender or
race,
any sexual persuasion or religious persuasion or whatever. That's the first article in the Dutch constitution, that it is forbidden to discriminate. Yeah, and that's one thing you need to learn when you do the civic integration program, and you can get a question about it, and then you need to answer, is it A, B, or C, a multiple choice question, and then you get a grade. And then if you pass that exam, and if you pass all 5 of those exams and get the certificates, then you get your inburgering diploma. And once you have that, then you can go to the IND, the
immigration
naturalization
services,
and you can get Dutch citizenship. Yeah,
yes.
You know this.
I know the IND and me. We need to talk. IND. Yeah. So, so exactly, that's how you do it. So you need to. These exams are a must, are a requirement to actually apply for your Dutch citizenship, right?
Right.
Yes.
It's the equivalent. If you want to go to the States and work there, you need a green card.
Exactly. Same.
And you do a program. You have to learn the American national anthem, and learn a bit about the presidents, about George Washington, about Abraham Lincoln, and you get tested on that.
Exactly.
It's the same story.
It's the same story. So for everybody here, we're like spending this amazing hour. We have 5 minutes to wrap it up on basically all the reasons why you should learn Dutch. You should check the Netherlands as a country, not only the cities, and learn depending on who you are, where you're from, what's your professional background, your educational background, what is next for you. For all those questions about how to get a job, how to find a job in the Netherlands, please make sure that you sign up for the next event on that's going to focus on LinkedIn, especially for those who are like how to do this remotely. You need to come to this session. It's going to be about how to find a job in the Netherlands, basically via LinkedIn. So join us there. And for everybody who's a non-EU like me and you want to learn Dutch, you want to get started, you are planning to then apply for the Dutch citizenship or nationality, make sure that you register in the form that we have. Right now, we're gathering people who are interested in learning Dutch with Nick, so we can get started in September. We know you're busy with your summer lab party, all of this, amazing. Everybody can go out in the Netherlands. I can't. Okay, thank you. And now you can go. From September, we can set up an online course group for us. So you can already get started. There's no excuse. It's online for a reason. So if you're planning to move to the Netherlands, you never have been there and you want to know what to do, please join our group. You will see in the form that you can choose depending on the level of your Dutch, or you're just beginning. There you go. Thank you.
Right.
If it's just the beginning, please make sure that you let us know where are you standing, and then we'll let you know what we have for you from September onwards. Check. Okay.
Great. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah, thank you. I'm learning every time I meet you. I learn so much from you. That's what I have to say. So from Ketma, when you were asking about differences between the recruitment process of a Dutch company versus an international company, maybe we can share some insights about doing an interview, or how is the recruitment process. Well, this is really for the event about how to find a job. But maybe Nick, do you have any insights on that? Recruitment processes?
I think it depends on the industry. It depends on the job. It depends on the company. I think if you want to get a good idea of the recruitment process in the Netherlands, you could get in touch with Michael Page. They are really on top of that whole, let's say, because they are recruitment. That is what Michael Page does. So you could get in touch with them, or look on monsterboard.nl.
Yes. Plus, we are always gathering new topics for upcoming events. So apart from doing the one about how to find a job on LinkedIn that we're going to host in basically 2 weeks, what we want is to have this suggestion. So I'm really happy to call a recruiter that I actually met last week in Tilburg University, at Tilburg University. The guy is Greek. I love Greek people. He works in a recruitment agency in the Netherlands. So I will invite him for coffee, and then we're going to talk about it. Any suggestions on topics that are important for you, your life, your business, your profession, please drop it in comments. I'm going to be gathering everything and, basically bringing the right people, to talk to us and share their knowledge and experience. Okay?
Sounds like a really good idea, Maria.
Cool. And last but not least, let's invite everybody for the Here to Start Fest. Yes. So what is the Here to Start Fest? Tomorrow and the day after, so 1st and 2nd of July, we are going to host an amazing event with more than 40 speakers from all over the world, a big percentage from the Netherlands, on how to start your business in the Netherlands. Boom, I love these announcements. So Here to Start Fest, I'm co-founder at Here to Start Fest. As I introduced myself before, I'm the community lead for the whole Holland Alumni Network about getting your business started in the Netherlands or growing, scaling up to the Netherlands, So this event where me, Nick, and many others, we're going to be sharing our experience and all the things that you need to know in terms of how to get started, legal, taxes, marketing, how to find Dutch clients, you name it, in an 8 hours program, also closing with an online business speed date. And you are going to also be able to network with all the attendees. You can request time slots to meet as soon as you register, and also during the event. Nick and I, we're going to be there. And because you're watching right now, I'm going to give you access for some limited free tickets now in comments. You can join us. All the rest of the people get 20% discount. But if you're watching now, you will get this. Okay? Don't tell anybody. So that's it. So happy to invite you for the Here to Start Fest. Happy to have you again, Nick. Having you is amazing. Thank you for all the insights.
It's been great. Thanks very much for having me. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the Here to Start.
Amazing. Thank you, everybody. Please feel free to leave questions. We're going to reply them later. And thanks for watching. Thanks for staying until the very end. I really like it. Here are the links to our upcoming events, the Here to Start Fest, and of course the webinar on how to find a job via LinkedIn. There you go. Thank you, everybody. And as we say in Dutch, how do we say in Dutch? Doei doei. Dag. Tot ziens. That's see you soon.
See you soon.
See you soon. Tot ziens. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Doei doei, everybody. And the end.